It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
Edgar says, hey guys, I love the show. I'm 24. I'm maxing out my 401k, Roth IRA, HSA, and contributing to a brokerage account. This is around 40% of my income.
Wow.
So this is like big time financial mutant. Now, I want to save for a house though. Should I reduce savings for this house? So I think a lot of young people in this, but hey, I want to buy this house. I've got this crazy savings rate, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to buy it. I don't know how I'm going to be able to buy it. But if I'm thinking about a house and I'm like a crazy hyper saver, should I back it down? Should I think about just socking away? And maybe my 3 to 5% is way more than I thought it was going to be for the house thought I was going to buy. Is it okay for me to back down savings to start saving for a house, to start building up cash to do that?
And Bo, I'm sure there's going to be some meat left on this bone, so you can jump in on it too. But I internalize this a little bit because I love the financial order operations. They kind of tell you what to do with your next dollar. But there is some play on a few things. First of all, that's why we give on the first house at 3 to 5%.
Yep.
So a lot of times that initial 3 to 5% can actually be built into step 4, which is the cash reserves. Because if you're trying to figure out am I 3 months, am I 6 months, maybe you're 9 months because some of that's your house down payment. You can use that flexibility right there, but it goes even beyond that with somebody who's saving 40%. Now, I know why Edgar is saving that much money is because when you're a financial mutant and you find out how much the government incentivizes you to save, and that tax, especially if you're in a high or a good income situation, you're like, well, I got to get the tax-free accounts of the Roth. I've got to get this, the salary deferral in there so I can get that free match from my employer. And then you're trying to figure out, hey, how do I max it out? Because the government's just incentivizing. And before you know it, you are at 40%. But here's what I know from my own life and is being a hyper saver and somebody who is very disciplined. There are things you have to think about that maybe you need a little more liquidity. Like I knew when I was starting my first company, I needed to save up. My wife and I needed to save up 2 to 3 years worth of cash because I knew it was going to take a while to get the company off the ground. And I didn't want to have, because I think a lot of time new businesses failed, not because the person didn't have the talent, didn't have the passion. They just didn't give it enough, gas or fuel or liquidity in the tank to make it through the time it takes to build that client base, to build that business up. That's what failure comes from, is the lack of preparation of building up those resources. And I've shared with you guys very confessionally, I didn't maximize all those tax favored. I look back I missed out on some Roth contributions and some other things because I was loading it up trying to get that cash so I could start my first company. There is nothing wrong if there's a period of time where, Edgar, that you are back to more of a 20 to 25% and you're building up that cash because you have a very distinct purpose for that money in a very distinct period of time.
I think this is an important time to remind you that money is nothing more than a tool to allow us to do the things in this life we want to do. Well, for a lot of us, one of those things we want to do is buy a house. We want to own a home. We want to be able to start a family, have our own place, do our own things, whatever your thing is. Well, money's a tool to help you get there. So it's okay when you go through life circumstances, whether that be saving for a house or getting married or starting a business or having kids, that you have to take a pause on doing like I got to do the future thing. I got to do the future thing. I got to do the future thing. It's okay to focus on the now thing if it's one of those lifetime, long-term money goals that you have. Now, what I'm not saying is to go cut off your savings to put a pool in the backyard or to go cut off the savings to go backpack across Europe. I'd rather you save for that type of thing. But if one of your big goals in life is to be a home purchaser, I think it's totally okay in this season to be able to build and save towards that goal. Now, fortunately for you, you are in the position where you're saving 40%. You could still back that down to 25% and have a lot of money going towards that housing goal. And I think that would probably still be all right. But maybe you're someone who's only saving 20%, 25%. You have to take a small pause now. You have to back it back. And instead of going up the steps of the FU, you got to go backwards on the steps of the FU. That's okay. Do it for a season. Achieve the goal that you're trying to achieve. Get in the house, whatever that thing is. And then the mark of a true financial mutant is how quickly you can get back on course, how quickly you can get back to that savings rate that you were at before the life event changed. And if you can do that, you can do that well, you're going to set yourself up for long-term success.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is getting it back on track. I always tell people when you vary from the plan, do it with fear, be scared, because I've even shared, and this stats in the book I've written is that I've only missed $10,000 worth of Roth contributions through the IRA. But Daniel and I have figured it out based upon the annualized performance of what I've gotten out of my Roth IRAs. In the long term, by the time I retire, that's potentially going to be a $600,000 cost to me.
Yep.
So that's why I would, so you need to be fearful when you deviate from the plan. Have in the back of your mind, there's a timer ticking down. You don't know when it's going to buzz, but you want to be back on track so you can know you're on the right side of wealth creation.